What is up, Ishita? Really excited about this piece that you wrote with the digital journalism class. I know that you guys have been doing great stuff and excited that you're finally able to share it with Panther Buck, get some pieces posted. So I'm just going to send you the screencastify here to go over some of the edits I made, some of the things I saw, and really get you excited for the work you've been doing, the really great job, and then maybe see if we can bring that to some of the Panther Book meetings, have you writing a little bit for us. So the way that we've been doing this, really simply, three different ways. So we have the preview here of your work, the draft that you wrote for us and sent to us, as well as just some live edits I'm going to make on the spot. Some things I'm seeing that are really good that really writers practice and just hone their skills at. Some things that maybe to think about for next time as we go towards high level pieces, and definitely some pieces that can keep getting published with Panther Book. And then maybe just some final things that we need to take action with for this piece overall. That just need to be corrected or a little bit edited from your end before we can get this to publish. So first off, I really like the topic here too about Netflix being old news, right? Like you think about streaming services and everyone thinks of Netflix originally, but the work you did here interviewing some of our peers, it sounds like that's not really the case anymore. So I really like this idea, and it's really relevant to our population of FHS students. So that is really great. Let's go here. We're going to base it off view and then go to the preview mode over here to start. So the first line, boom, good intro again. The king of entertainment, Netflix has finally been dethroned by a fellow competitor. Can they get back up or are they just old news? I love that first sentence, right? You talk about Netflix, being at the top and now they could be going down. What's happening next? Leave them on the hinting there right there. So I'm going to put this as the first part. Great first sentence. Keep hinting for the overall article. That's exactly what you need your first sentence to be. The first sentence should be a lot of information and detail, but it really serves a purpose to get them interested, right? So you don't have to throw so much knowledge at them, but really just hook them in, and then we'll get them the information after we're able to do that. So I like that. I think I edited just a little bit just to modify it, right? The king of Netflix, the king of entertainment, Netflix might have finally been dethroned, and then you kind of leave it. And before that first sentence, like who is the fellow competitor, right? You talk in this piece about Amazon Prime and Disney Plus, so that'd be competitors, right? So just fixing those little things would just be really great if we can grow in that way as a writer. And then you interview the FHS students, right? So we're not interviewing CEOs or streaming service experts. You're interviewing our peers, right? So I think that's really important to point out in our first sentence. It might have been dethroned in the eyes of FHS students, right? Then you hook in our audience. As FHS students, they want to know what their peers are thinking about, which I think is really good. Can they see at the top, or are they just old news? Perfect. I like how you go into some background next. Right here, popular streaming service, around for 26 years. It's been a household name since the beginning, right? I like the stats that you brought in. It was announced that in the second quarter of 2022, Netflix lost around 1.3 million subscribers from the US, Canada, and Europe. That's a huge statistic. I like how you get to it off the bat and put that in as a keep it up. That was great right there. Impactful statistics off the bat. That's important. Hook them in, get them excited, and know why you have an important cause. Great. I think the only thing I change that with, maybe a little bit more information, right? If you feel like you want to. And then you said second quarter. I think a lot of our audience doesn't really know what the second quarter is. So I just made that more specific, right? Saying it's July to September. That's our second quarter. Perfect. And then your next sentence, you kind of go right into the students, right? So I think we need a little bit more of a flow, right? We need to fill in that gap a little bit. So what I just wrote, so what happened, right? Why did they go from the giant to losing subscribers? According to FHS students, it might be a mix of increased competition and consumers' decreased appetite for new policies. Kind of preview what's to come, right? Just like you did at that first sentence, you previewed Netflix going from top towards the bottom. Now you can preview what your kind of body piece is. Perfect. So you say, after surveying 30 Franklin High School students, it was reported that a large reason for the subscribers was due to increased competition from Disney Plus and Prime Video, as well as lacking the things that people are there for, right? So pretty much said the same thing there. I like that information. 30 students, you want to know that off the bat. How many perspectives did you get? Really good job. Boom in popularity is what I said. We want to put our percentages just as a percent to make it easier on our audience too. That'll be something that we can just talk there. Just going over numbers a little bit. Just watch the numbers, I'd say overall. And specifically percentages, you can just write out the number. Keep it visually appealing, right, in that way. I like how you said, like, students found Netflix to be once boring before they lost the TV shows. Awesome. And then you go from description to your numbers, which I think was really cool too, especially that you already had numbers a little bit. So Netflix has around 161 million subscribers. What I did for you here is because you talk about Netflix, but then you compare it to Disney Plus. So what we want to do, if you talk about Disney Plus with the numbers, then compare it to Netflix, we're going to have numbers for both of them, right? So what I did a little bit was two things I'd love for you to do. I said I kept that number there, but then I did two things, right? So I got the numbers of the other places we talked about, but then I also cited it, right? It's super important to have information, but it's even more important to have relevant and knowledgeable information that we can trust, right? So I said it was according to the website. There's a link to the website if they want to go check that out and see the top 10 most popular streaming services. Make sure to double check that, right? Always want to make sure that if it's coming from us, we can fact check it, right? So perfect. So I think one thing I'm going to say for next time is just cite, right? Cite sources, cite where you got them from. Make sure that they're credible too. Perfect. That is great. And then we talk about Disney Plus, but then with those three numbers, Disney Plus actually has the lowest, right? There's no such thing as 162 million being low. But it's still, I guess, compared to those ones, it feels like it's the left one out. So then you go say, all these numbers make it look smaller. They tend to have a larger market value. I like how you put that in quotations, give our audience a little bit more information on what that is, a larger market value if they don't know. Kind of would have liked that in the same part in the opening quarter, right? So just making sure that if our audience doesn't know something we think, we can give them that quotations as you saw. Perfect. As Netflix was losing, Disney Plus was adding. Great stat. That was just you. And then talk about the policy, right? We talked in the preview about how it was more competition, but also they have some new policies in place. So I like what you said about Netflix. You can't share your passwords anymore. I used to do that. I know everyone who used to do that. So say how that's like a big reason where people getting off the Netflix wagon, I think is a great point. And then they anecdote. Anonymous writing is really tough in article writing. We did a really good job here saying what the student's perspective was and how this new policy impacted them, which I think was really cool. I think I just spaced it out a little bit more. So say what the policy is and then leave that anecdote kind of in its own paragraph so it can shine and be sticking out pretty good right there. And then you finish it off by talking about one more point about why Netflix could be on the fall. You said due to inflation, Netflix raised the prices. So for the reasons above and the prices, people might not want to stick around. Really good. I think I said, I like to left in quotations, really kept it the same, just like that. What happened, Netflix lost $1 billion with that, employees laid off. And I think you started it really good, and I think we could just end it one more time here. Right? You got your point across now, so bring it all together. Do you think Netflix will become the go-to streaming service again? And then you ended it right here, kind of did that a little bit. Netflix suspects that its subscription base will grow again. What if we get a little bit clearer on that? What is Netflix? Is it a Netflix spokesperson? Do they have a quote there? I think that's one thing I've been meaning to say a lot actually here too, which I'll get to here. Quote, quote, quote. Paraphrasing is great and we can get our information across, but we want to know why. Like we want to know, even if it's an anonymous source, like you quoted with the anecdote, get some quotes in here saying, why do they love Netflix? Why do they not like Netflix? What do they think should change for Netflix if they want to become that giant again, right? So I think there's a lot of different opportunities for us to add in some quotes here. I think this could just bring this piece to the next level. I might even challenge you if you go back, give me one or two quotes, right? Go back to one of those sources and say, hey, I loved what you had to say about this when we interviewed you. Do you mind if we answer this question? We will either take your name, we won't take your name. Even an anonymous quote is better than no quote, right? So really, I think that could be a good place to go. And as we're at the end here, I kind of left a little blank for you, right? Tell me about it. Who suspects that subscription base will grow? Why do they think that a little bit? Maybe toss a quote in there. That could be a really good place to get that quote. But just fill in that blank at the end, right? Fill in the final blank, and we'll say to wrap the bow on it. To wrap the bow on the article, give it that solace that it needs, I think. Really great piece, Ishita. I think one last thing I would just say give us some more pictures, right? I like the picture that you used at the beginning of the girl being unable to make that decision with Netflix. It could be a peer. It just shows FHS as a student body unable to really make that opinion. Maybe a caption there too would be really great. Tell us what we're seeing a little bit in a quick caption. Maybe some pictures overall, right, about Netflix, maybe some graphs if you can find them and properly sourced. Just going to add that right here. So a couple more pictures. Let's say more pictures throughout sources. We're always looking for that multimedia element, right? I know that Miss Moreau talks about it in digital journalism, but really just bring that whole piece together. Awesome, Ishita. Great piece again on a relevant story to our student body. I'll share with you back that draft. I'll share with you this feedback that we just put together on this recording. But really great piece, Ishita, and really excited how you make these edits. You kind of come back and then possibly start doing some work with us for Panther Book. All right, thanks, Ishita.